In section 6.5, we'll do the same thing that we did in section 6.4. We're going to get rid of any fractions by multiplying everything by the LCD to solve our equations. I know that our equations will look a little bit more involved because you'll see more letters because they'll be considered formulas, not just regular equations. But a lot of times this is actually easier, even though it looks harder just because it appears that you have more things going on, because you have more letters and more variables that you see. So let's go ahead and try one of these equations or formulas. We have our first one, which is F equals G M little m over D squared. Now, what I would do is look at this one and say, what are we solving for? In this one, we're solving for M. So let's kind of get tunnel vision and only look at how we're going to solve this equation for M. That means I need to get rid of everything around that M. Well, first of all, let's get rid of the fraction. Let's get rid of the D squared on the bottom. How do you get rid of division? We're going to get rid of the division by multiplying. So we're going to move the D squared or get rid of the division by multiplying by a D squared on both sides. So what that will do is that will move the D squared from one side to the other. So now what I have is a D squared F equals G big M little m. But again, my focus is on how to get the m by itself. Now, I wrote D squared F. You could have written FD squared. It does not matter. It's just like saying XY and YX are the same thing. Now, notice what's in between the G's and the M's. You don't see it, but it's a hidden multiplication symbol. So how do you get rid of multiplication? We do the opposite. We divide. So if I'm multiplying by the G and the M, how do I get rid of it? I'm going to divide by the G and the M. If I do it to one side, I've got to do it to the other. So I'm going to divide by the G and the M to get rid of it. Notice that leaves me with what I wanted by itself, the capital M. So my capital M is this D squared F over my G and my little m. That's my final answer. Let's look at B. For B, we've got 1 over A equals 1 over B plus 1 over C. Now, we've got a lot of fractions going on here. So even though we're solving for B, let's get rid of all these fractions. We also have a problem that B is in the denominator. You can't solve for anything that's in the denominator. So let's just get rid of all these denominators all at once. How can we do that? Well, we're going to find a common denominator for all three. Well, that would be an A, B, C. So we're going to multiply each of these by an A, B, C. A, B, and C, and lastly an A, B, C. Let's see what that does. On the first fraction, that will just cancel out the A, leaving you with just A, B, C. On the second fraction, notice what will cancel is a little bit different. The B will cancel out, leaving you with an A and a C, so that's AC that's left on the second fraction. Plus, notice on the last fraction here, what's actually going to cancel is the C, which will leave me with an A and a B. Now, let's remind ourselves, what was the goal? The goal was to solve for B. Well, I've got two of them, and they're on different sides of the equation. So let's at least get them on the same side. Now, notice the B term that's on the right-hand side, I want to get it to the other side, is a plus AB. So I'm going to move it to the other side by doing A minus AB. So we'll do a minus AB to move it to the other side. Now, unfortunately, that does put it on the other side, but it doesn't mean that I can actually put those two together because they're not like terms, but they're at least on the other side together. So we've got a BC minus an AB equals an AC. So they're on the same side, but I can't put them together, so what's going to be the trick? So I want to solve for B. Well, it kind of pops out at you if you highlight the two B's. What have we been doing for 2 chapters now? Well, notice that those two terms have a greatest common factor of a B. We can factor out a B. Well, if we factor out a B, that will leave me with a C minus A. Well, now the question becomes to get the B by itself, how do I get rid of that C minus A? Well, remember those parentheses mean you have multiplication. How do you get rid of multiplication? We're going to do the opposite. We're going to divide both sides by a C minus A. That'll move it from one side to the other. So what that gives me is I have a B equals AC over C minus A, and you can't do anything with that. You are all done. So this little trick that if we have whatever it is we're trying to solve for is in more than one term, but we can't put them together because they're not like terms, then what we'll do is we'll factor it out once they're on the same side, and then we can divide by whatever was left over.